Caps fans, how are we all doing today? How are we feeling? I kind of feel like I could run from here to China with a piano strapped to my back and I wouldn't even get tired. I don't know about you guys. I have to tell you, I walked into the office the other morning after our team's humongous win, and I live in Canada, mind you, but everyone knows that I'm a Caps fan. And I'm getting handshakes and hugs and congratulations. I feel like I just got elected senator or something. But you know, it just goes to show that everyone knows how much this means to Washington Capitals fans. Because we fucking did it. 20 long years in the making, and for the first time in my life that I'm old enough to really remember it, we are going to the conference finals. What a feeling. Our Washington Capitals have done it. They have not only made it to the conference finals for the first time in 20 years, but they did it by slaying their personal demon in the form of the Shittsburgh Penguins. Now, I know I haven't made a video for you guys in about a week or so, but honestly, after we won Game 5, I thought about making a video, but I just didn't want to jinx anything. And now, after Game 6 and our incredible series win, I'm still not sure that I even have the words yet to describe the feelings that I'm sure we're all feeling right now, but I'm going to try. Because when Kuznetsov scored that goal and the Caps won that game, I screamed, I cried, I laughed, in that order, and then, of course, I repeated it again in different orders over and over again over the course of the next few days, and now, here we are. So the point is, it took me a few days to calm down enough in order to be able to make this video, and now, thank God, I'm calm, cool, and collected enough to be able to talk about the Caps series win over the Penguins in a totally objective manner. No screaming. We won, motherfuckers! Let's go Caps! Woo! Woo! Whoops. Anyways, now we're free to talk about things openly without fear of jinxing anything because your Washington Capitals have officially eliminated the Shittsburgh Penguins from the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Washington Capitals have officially eliminated the Shittsburgh Penguins from the Stanley Cup playoffs. One more time. The Washington Capitals have officially eliminated the Shittsburgh Penguins from the Stanley Cup motherfucking playoffs. And I know I'm repeating myself a few times already in this video in mentioning that the Caps have, that's right, eliminated Shittsburgh, but I'm going to keep on repeating it, probably for the rest of my life. I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, where everyone is a Vancouver Canucks or future Seattle whatever's fan, but it doesn't matter. I'm going around random people on the street, and I'm like, hey, did you see the game the other night? Hey, did you know that the Washington Capitals eliminated the Shittsburgh Penguins? Oh, you didn't know? Oh, well, you should probably watch the highlights because it was pretty fucking amazing. Oh, you don't have a TV? Well, here. I have a cell phone right here. We can just watch the highlights right here, together, right now, right now, right now, right now. We can watch it right now, together, the highlights right now. I'm doodling it on my notebooks at work. I'm answering the phone with, hi, yes, this is Janaea, proud Washington Capitals fan and slayer of the Shittsburgh Penguins. They asked me for my name to write it on my cup at Starbucks, and I'm like, first name Shittsburgh, last name eliminated by Washington. I'm even thinking about hiring one of those planes to write it in the sky and smoke. Hasta la vista, Crosby, bye-bye. The Capitals, the motherfucking Capitals. Ugh, you guys, I'm so excited to make this video because I just can't wait to recap what's probably, honestly, the best Washington Capitals moment that I've been alive for, that I can remember. Like I said, the last time that they went to the Stanley Cup final, Eastern Conference final, and then Stanley Cup final was in 1998, and I was 7 years old, so I don't really remember it. But anyways, to recap what happened in Games 5 and 6, a good place to start would be the resiliency of this Washington Capitals team. The Caps had to overcome a truckload of adversity in this series, just as they did in round one. It started with what can be deemed, at best, a questionable, and at worst, a highly suspicious 3-game suspension to top-line forward Tom Wilson. And it ended with an injury to the team's number one centerman and overall most well-rounded player, Nicklas Backstrom. Backstrom, of course, got hurt blocking a shot in the first period of Game 5, and though he would tough it out for many more shifts, by the time that the third period rolled around, Backstrom would be forced to leave the game, something that no Caps fan ever wants to see, especially not in the playoffs when we are on the verge of finally knocking out Shittsburgh. This could have obviously spelled disaster for the Caps, as the super Swede, who should have won about a gazillion Selke trophies by now, would not be around to help the Caps protect a 1-goal lead late in the game. But the Caps powered through. Everybody bought into the shot blocking and the overall commitment to defense that it takes to win in such a situation. And not only did they protect the lead without Backstrom, but they added a couple more goals as well and finished the game with a 6-3 win. The Caps also managed to get the win in Game 5 despite Shittsburgh having a whopping 4 power plays just in the second period alone, and 6 total for the night. Washington's penalty kill did enough to keep the game within reach heading into the second intermission. And of course, Evgeny Kuznetsov, who is a legend now, would come out of that intermission and tie the game on a breakaway less than a minute into the third period. And that's kind of been a theme for these Caps, the response when something goes wrong or doesn't go their way. The responses, whether down in a game or down in a series, have been excellent every time. It's a big reason why they're currently getting ready for the third round. Nothing seems to rattle this group, and that's a pretty good recipe for success when it comes to playoff hockey. So, the Caps got a huge win on home ice in game number 5, and in game number 6 in Shittsburgh, they would have to do it without 3 of their usual top 6 forwards, Nicklas Backstrom, Tom Wilson, and Andrei Burakovsky, all out of the lineup for game 6. Now, here's the thing, and Penguins fans, you can feel free to argue this point if you want. You'll be wrong, but you can still argue it. The Penguins thought that this was going to be easy without Nick Backstrom. And don't get me wrong, I can see why they would think like that, as Backstrom is such an important player who does so much for the Caps. He's pretty much single-handedly shut down Sidney Crosby in the last 3 postseasons, so naturally the Penguins would be thinking they're going to be getting a lot more time and space to work with out there on the ice anytime that Nick Backstrom is not staring them down from the other side. But here's the thing. The Penguins thought that it was going to be a cakewalk without Nick Backstrom, but the Caps have enough other guys who can make plays and score goals, and while there is no one player who is as good defensively as Nick Backstrom is, the team-wide commitment to defense by everyone wearing a Capitals sweater in this game, in this series, in these playoffs, has truly been something to behold by the Caps. The series came down to who wanted it more, plain and simple, and the Caps were winning every single puck battle. Every time there was a loose puck or an inch of ice up for grabs, it was the Caps who worked the hardest to get it. Of course, the Caps were also helped by the total and complete tire fire that is the Shittsburgh Penguins defense. Oh, you thought the Caps defense was a little bit touch and go at points during the regular season? Well, you ain't seen nothing yet, because welcome to the Shittsburgh Penguins attempt at postseason defense. And you know, I'm probably being too kind when I refer to it as a tire fire. I'm probably being a little bit too kind, more than a little bit too kind, because just look at the number of giveaways that Shittsburgh committed in this series. Christ, if you flavor those turnovers with apple and cinnamon, you could open up a 50,000 square foot bakery. There's so many of them. And the thing that really killed Shittsburgh was that it was their so-called best defensemen who were committing the most and the most costly giveaways during this series. Chris Letang and Brian Dumoulin, also known as Dumb and Dumber, were downright atrocious in this series. How many game-tying and game-winning goals for the Caps were these two out on the ice for? And how many were they directly responsible for? I'll give you a minute to add it up. Grab a calculator if you need it, because it was a lot. Their positioning was terrible. Their decision-making was terrible. And while most teams look to capitalize against the opposition's third defense pairing, I think it's safe to say that most Caps fans, myself included, were salivating at the opportunity every time Coach Mike Sullivan would put Dumb and Dumber out on the ice. They sucked. And if any Twitter tough guys, Dumoulin's sister, have a problem with me speaking that truth, then you can feel free to send me a direct message and I'll send you the address for your valiant but so harshly failed attempt at kicking my ass. I'm not really sure if me taking verbal jabs at her brother qualifies as another dirty hit, but then again, Tom Wilson's hit wasn't dirty either, and yet she took major exception to that one, so who knows. Anyways, Dumoulin still was not the worst player on the ice in the series because that honor goes to Chris Letang, and it couldn't have happened to a whinier guy. Just while we're on the subject of giveaways as well, while the Capitals were a 5-man turnover machine during the regular season, they seem to have really flipped a switch on defense because they have really cleaned their shit up in the postseason. You always wonder if a team is really capable of doing that flipping a switch thing, but the Caps have proven in these playoffs that they definitely can. Because the defense, like I said, it was a major, major sore spot in the regular season, but now, all of a sudden, in the playoffs, has become a point of strength for this team. And speaking of points of strength, how Hercules strong has our captain, Alex Ovechkin, been in these playoffs so far? He's been amazing. 8 goals, 15 points in 12 games so far, and for me, it's not just about the sheer quantity of points that he's putting up, but it's also been about the timing of those points because it seemed like any time that the Caps have needed a goal in these playoffs, Ovechkin has come up with it. He's made it happen one way or another, whether he scores the goal himself, like he did for the game winner in Shittsburgh in Game 3, or whether he's getting the primary assist as he feeds it to a teammate for the game winner, like he did in the pivotal Game 5 of this series, and then again on the series clinching goal in overtime in Game 6. He's making shit happen out there. He's Captain Clutch. And you know, getting that win in Game 6 was really, really big for this franchise. Not letting Shittsburgh give themselves a chance in a Game 7, because as Barry Trotz pointed out so eloquently last year, when you get a chance to push someone off of a cliff, you have to do it. And the Caps have been good at doing that in these most recent couple of years under Barry Trotz, as they've now closed out the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and now the Shittsburgh Penguins as well. All in Game 6s on the road, and all in the very first game that they had a chance of eliminating them. So before Barry Trotz got here, it used to be kind of an organizational habit to let the opposition team force a Game 7. It didn't matter if it was 3-2 or 3-1 or 2-0 or whatever. We always seem to be letting the other team climb back into it and force a Game 7. But nowadays, the Caps are pushing them off the cliff the first chance that they get, and that is good to see. And it's important because, as we all know, it's never over until the fat lady, in this case, the fat lady being Phil Kessel, who I'm just being told now was actually playing in this series, even though you certainly wouldn't know it by looking at the score sheet. Anyways, it's not over until Kessel sings. And on Monday, the tune went like this. And the entire hockey world rejoiced. Penguins fans, you know, before I go on, I just want to point out the reason why I'm not wearing my Capitals jersey today. We'll go down here. Just get a nice shot of the shirt here. Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. Been wearing this for 3-4 straight days. Don't even care. Not even mad. Nope. Don't care if it stinks. Gonna wear it for the next week. Anyways, Penguins fans, I'm sorry that I'm being so mean to you all, but I mean, I'm not really sorry because you all have been so obnoxious for the last 2 years and really for eternity before that. And here, just in case you need a shoulder to cry on, use this. Too soon? Man, it sucks being on the other side of the obnoxiousness, doesn't it? Don't worry, you'll survive. And the good news is that you only have to listen to it for approximately 365 more days until you get your shot at redemption. Karma's a real bitch, isn't it? Anyways, for the Caps, I think we can safely say that we can label this season a success already. And before you all go jumping all over me for saying that, first let me explain why I'm saying it. I'm saying it based on the expectations that the so-called experts had for the Caps this season. The window was closed. They weren't even going to make the playoffs, much less win the Metro Division. And this certainly was not going to be the year that the Caps would finally get out of the second round and make it to the conference finals. Hell no. When hell freezes over, resident genius Mike Milbury said. Look, folks, the bottom line is this is the first time in 20 frickin' years that we've been this far. So just enjoy it. Because no matter what happens from here on out, we can be very proud of this team and we can hold our heads up high for once. But now with that being said, this is a tremendous opportunity that the Caps now have in front of them, and they've earned that opportunity by playing terrific, fast, smart, gutsy hockey, and by earning every inch of the ice. And you know what? So long as they continue doing that and continue playing that way, then I really like their chances, not only against Tampa Bay, but against anybody. All I'm saying is that I'm going to be proud of them either way. And I do hope that you all will join me in that. Go Caps, go.